Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Monster Madness preview for the WWE Survivor Series show. If you were watching the show I did earlier, which was us watching the Brazilian Grand Prix, you would have realised I actually renamed that the Survivor Series show because I actually forgot to duplicate the show rather than edit it. So, if you're watching this version, this is the Survivor Series show, not the show I did earlier. That's the Brazilian Formula One Grand Prix Let's Watch. I do apologise, I'm an idiot. But I'm not alone for this, obviously, as usual with the previous shows. I am joined by the man who I think has been on pretty much all of them, I think bar one, Mr. Martin Lacelli.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by the man who we have not spoken to since WrestleMania, because obviously when SummerSlam was happening in August, this man was actually preparing to get married. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the married Justin Robert Young.
Hello, everybody. It's great to join you.
So,
and please excuse the cockatiel cooing. I have to be out here in my living room because Ashley's got the studio. So I'll do my best to mute the mic, but that's what's happening.
But maybe we could get the debut of the cockatiel review. Maybe he can give some thoughts on wrestling because he's probably seen enough now.
Quite possibly. This is a possibility, a grand possibility.
So, it's been a while since we've all been together and talking about wrestling. I don't think we actually ended up doing a SummerSlam show because obviously Kieran was actually at SummerSlam and I ended up having to work that entire week. So we actually haven't really spoken to each other since WrestleMania. And safe to say, it's been a pretty crazy year in WWE. Topped off by the fact that unfortunately Seth Rollins is no longer champion, not through any volition of losing the title, but being injured in Ireland.
It's the last time we let him come over there. Tell you what. Next time he's staying home.
Hey, when we say the UK and Irish fans are passionate, we're passionate.
I know.
We're so passionate we've got your champion
both
injured.
MCL and PCL.
Absolutely, in a match against Kane of all people, and then apparently, was it Kane had a match with Big Show the following night, and then Big Show got injured.
Kane's unlucky, man. As soon as Seth got injured, it was revealed it was in a match with Kane. Even though Kane is a really safe worker and never injures anyone, everyone's like, "Oh, Kane's a piece of shit. This man's terrible. Look at him injuring people." And he was injured on a sunset flip powerbomb. He just landed wrong on his legs. Nothing to do with Kane. Everyone blamed Kane until that video came out. And they're like, "Oh yeah, Kane's really safe. He's fine. It was just unlucky." Total dicks to Kane all the time. I feel sorry for the man.
Yeah, you got to wonder where his place is within WWE in the next couple of years, because he seems fairly well entrenched into like the actual business element of it. But you got to wonder how much more in-ring wrestling he's got.
I don't know why, but obviously because we've seen Kane in a suit for the idea I would love to see it now of Kane at the front desk of WWE headquarters. Just him sitting there. Hello, how can I help you this morning? You just know, like there's going to be one person that's really showing, and all of a sudden it's like he has to switch between Demon Kane and Corporate Kane. Living the stereotype. I don't know, because I mean, it is that kind of question now. Obviously, you know, Triple H is now sort of running the business on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, Taker is probably going to be an ambassador or some kind of mutual legend.
He'll sign a legend contract, and
Absolutely.
He'll live in Arizona or wherever he really lives and just hang out. Unless I think he might be in Texas.
But it is that possibility of now that these guys really are starting to drop out and go, right, that's it, that's my career over. It's like, where do they fit in the business? I do sort of see your point.
Well, I mean, I guess the larger point is like, how long is Kane there in the ring? And right now, what they have is a gigantic sucking need at the top of established stars. And as much as internet smarks like us are like, push the young guys, the real fact of the matter is that if you go to a house show, like all those house shows, as much as we hate Big Show and Big Show is just like a waste of space, people cheer for the Big Show. They're excited to see him live. At a house show, and that's a lot of where WWE's money comes in.
The money is in the old hats. The money's in the established guard of you put Big Show, Taker, or Kane on a card, people will pay to see the card because, hey, I know that guy. That guy was from 13 years ago and he's still wrestling. Awesome, I might go check it out.
Yeah.
You put Seth Rollins on there. Well, unless you've watched WWE in the last 2 years, you're not going to know who Seth Rollins is.
No. Well, I mean, I think Seth Rollins, at least, he had the big moment at WrestleMania. So if you're a casual fan, you've seen him. You've seen, he's a clickable guy who's the champion. So at least that makes sense a little bit.
Okay, bad mistake. Okay, right back then. But the point, obviously, the point I was making. But I mean, this is obviously, like you said, you got the internet smarts going right now. Seth Rollins is injured. Push the young guys. Okay, we'll talk about the what they've done. Obviously, Seth injured his knee. Was it the 4th of November? So this was the week of them going onto the tour. So the following week, they done started at least a tournament. Which was a 16-man tournament with the first rounds happening over Raw and SmackDown. The quarterfinals all happening on Raw tomorrow. The semi-finals happen on SmackDown that week on Thursday. Because do you know what? This is
Are the semi-finals happening on SmackDown? Because I thought the semis and the final were going to happen on the pay-per-view. Because you've only announced 3 matches for the pay-per-view.
Semi-finals are on SmackDown's, finals are on the pay-per-view.
All right,
wow,
fair enough.
So there's just one match?
There's 3 matches so far. You've got the finals for the title, you've got Charlotte and Paige, and you've got the Brothers of Destruction versus the Wyatt family, which still hasn't.
They've left it really late to bother to announce any matches. Then if they're not doing the semis as well.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to have a random Divas elimination match. They're going to have a random a traditional elimination match with some random people just to fill up the time, because that's what they end up doing anyway. Because didn't they have it one year when it was like Rey Mysterio in an elimination match of like the Usos and like fucking some random people, and they're like, I'll see if I can find it. It was like a couple of years ago. It was just like a really random match. Yeah, here we go.
I mean, because you have to have. So they haven't announced New Day's Uso yet.
Yeah, here it is. It was the 2013 Survivor Series. It was the Shield and the Real Americans versus Cody Rhodes and Goldust, the Usos, and Rey Mysterio.
So there was just a random traditional Survivor Series.
Yeah, like the Shield and Cody Rhodes and Goldust were feuding, but no one else in that match had any reason to be there.
Well, that sounds about right.
So that might be an interesting topic we can get onto in a minute.
I mean, but also, the rumor is, I mean, word around the campfires that Vince doesn't like Survivor Series, or he doesn't like it anymore. That's
why he wanted to can it about 4 years ago. But the entire WWE, the entire WWE universe literally just turned around and went, "Yeah, if you cancel Survivor Series, we're not watching."
Yeah, it got removed, didn't it, from the calendar? They took it off the calendar on the website, and then everyone started revolting and saying, "This is bullshit. You need to put it back." And about 3 weeks later, it just randomly reappeared again.
So, I guess here let's focus on the card a little bit. The big match, the marquee match, is going to be wrapped around the Undertaker. Undertaker and Kane, Brothers of Destruction, reuniting against the Wyatt family. I think this has done great things for both of them, and really was kind of the only way that they could pull out of the kind of epic Brock Lesnar Undertaker feud with as much significance as it had, blowing off at a relatively minor pay-per-view like Hell in a Cell. But it remains, they've been kind of coy on like, okay, it's going to be any 2 members of the Wyatt family. I still have this sense that it's going to end up being a 4-on-4, if not 5-on-5, traditional Survivor Series kind of elimination match. But that would mean that there have to be more people on the Undertaker and Kane side. Number 1, am I crazy? Number 2, if I'm not, who would you like to see alongside?
Because I mean, obviously, they've made that assumption before on the internet, and you know what the internet has said, Justin. You know who the first person like face paint? Oh, let's put Sting in the team. Oh, it's just because it's the Undertaker. Okay. Well, who else are you going to put on there then?
I mean, Sting, and I have been very, very, very.
You know why people are saying Sting? Honestly. Oh, let's put Sting in there because then we can build up to Sting and Undertaker at WrestleMania. It's like, no, stop it. It won't happen. Go away.
Okay, and yes, that is true. And also the fact that Sting almost died in the ring against Seth Rollins at Night of Champions certainly bolsters the idea that maybe these two fighting each other, is not the greatest thing. But let me make the argument for it. Let me make the argument for Sting being the guy. If
Kane was getting one back on Seth Rollins. Think about it. Seth Rollins nearly injured Sting. Kane got one back on Seth Rollins. It's legends looking after themselves.
There we go. Well, you know, and then as his MCL tour in that Irish arena, they pan up and see a painted faced man with a vulture on his arm,
just pointing the bat.
Just pointing, yeah. So you know, you have if you are to bring Sting back and get this massive pop and have this sort of bizarre dark version of the Mega Powers handshake between Undertaker and Sting. You know, what a moment, Michael Cole will scream.
Vintage.
Yeah, this is the time to do it. He doesn't have to wrestle a lot. You can certainly protect him in in an elimination match. You can even have him come out at the very end, like he did in the last match or in the last Survivor Series. He, in his short WWE history, he has tied more to Survivor Series than any other pay-per-view because that's where he had his big debut a year ago. So Sting kind of makes sense to me. Now the other person to join them, who knows? You know, maybe a returning, you know, John Cena or something like that. That's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me. If Undertaker's going to ask for help.
The only returning guy I'd think of would be Daniel Bryan, just because he had past history with him.
True, but I mean, the only thing that comes into my mind is you've got, let's be honest here, you've got Sting, mythical character, Undertaker, mythical character, Kane, mythical character. Like, is there anybody else on the roster that is a mythical-ish character? Someone that is, I mean, it hasn't got to be someone that can, you know, raise lightning bolts from their hand or something. But is there anybody that, you know, can fit it's a mythical character that's a bit creepy and out there?
Right, a returning boogeyman. He's just got a Legends contract. Bring him back.
Is he? But has he lied about his age this time? Otherwise, it doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, we know it's not going to be Billy Gunn, so cross that off your fantasy book.
Oh, that'd be the ultimate swerve. Billy Gunn randomly returns at Survivor Series.
Exactly.
It was a work.
Yeah, I know, and it's revealed that all of the Undertaker's special powers came from PED and in testosterone ratios.
He's not mythical. He's just spent the 25 years high as fuck.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the question. There seems to be a lot of Daniel Bryan chatter, and I don't know how much of that is the fact that he has said in interviews that, like, these final determining concussion tests that are going to figure out whether or not he's back or retiring or, you know, doing whatever, like, have apparently already happened based on the timeline that he's given interviews in the past, and that more than anything, they need baby faces. They need big, white meat baby faces, you know, and because even though you know, Seth Rollins is a heel and he went down, if you have an ascendant Roman Reigns, you can kind of elevate somebody like a Kevin Owens to run a program with Roman Reigns, right? But what you don't have is anybody like Roman Reigns below him to be a big babyface to fight in non-title matches, you know? And that's what, like, whenever we get into this, like, weird fantasy booking, push him, don't push him, everybody always forgets that there's kind of like 8 slots, right? And 3 of them are champion slots, or 4 of them are champion slots if you include the tag titles. And then you've got 4 others that are like Dolph Ziggler. There's a reason why it hurts when he gets a title on him, because he can still wrestle a match that people care about as the babyface. Roman Reigns, if he gets a championship, you got to replace him with somebody that's a babyface that people care about, so he can fight somebody, and that makes sense on the card. And right now, you know, you kind of need somebody else to sort of fill that role, and Daniel Bryan would be a huge part of it. If he is ready to come back, now is the time more than ever.
So I understand that in terms of, you know, Daniel Bryan comes into this, obviously, you know, he's got that sort of Sting mentality to him, i.e., you know, if he is still a bit wary of what he can and can't do, then, you know, he's in the elimination match, so then that way he can do less work, and, you know, he can just do enough to get through so they can see, okay, this is where you're at.
Yeah.
The next one is TLC.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fair enough. You know, we all made the joke of going, hold on a minute, Daniel Bryan returns from injury in January this year, ends up in a ladder match at WrestleMania. You know, that really helps your neck. So, do they somehow twist out TLC and goes, right, Daniel Bryan's doing a singles match or something, or a tag team match, just to they really limit him on his matches, and then like Royal Rumble, he's really limited, so they sort of just like, look, we're going to be careful here. We don't want to, you know, if we, you know, we've got like you said, you've got no Cena, Seth Rollins is out, or your big guys are out, so you need somebody just to carry it for a couple of months. And if Daniel Bryan's that guy, then you got that. But then the problem is, okay, Daniel Bryan's going to go probably into the Royal Rumble next year if he's fit and able. They have got to realise the crowd will not rest until he wins the Royal Rumble.
All right. This is the Survivor Series thing.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble's months away. We have all the time in the world to scream and yell about how Daniel Bryan needs to win the Royal Rumble if he's in.
Here's my thing. Personally, I don't think he needs to.
Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. Yes. And we can talk about this one. Right. You know, I think I don't think that he fits in that Undertaker Kane Wyatt match though.
Yeah, that's what I think. There is no mythical
coming back with. Well, no, I mean it actually makes sense character-wise, right? Because he's coming in to help Kane. You know, he's coming in to his Team Hell No. You know, former tag partner that, you know, sure they had their differences, but now that he's not aligned with the Authority, you know, he can stick up for him. So him alone as a return makes sense. Sting alone as a return makes sense. You know, it is, you know, unless they're just going to go 3-on-3, which kind of doesn't make sense, you know, because which of the Wyatt people are sitting out.
That's the other thing. Most of the Survivor Series elimination matches generally are 5-on-5. So you've got the 4 members of the Wyatt family. So do you just stick a random bod on for the 5th member? Do you just go, let's just stick Ryback or whatever you want on there, like just a random 5th member?
I will say this: Ryback as heel Wyatt family member. I feel like, you know, I think at this point you're starting to get into, you know, Buff Bagwell in the NWO territory in terms of the size of the faction, but like that I think would be good for Ryback because he has had an inability to get over as a babyface. You know, people like chant and feed me more, but there's a reason why I think that they dropped the IC title off him so fast because there just is a lack of connection with the crowd.
So. Okay, let's look at it in 2 lights then. If we go as 2 separate matches then, because obviously you've got the match they've scheduled so far, which is obviously the Brothers of Destruction, Undertaker and Kane versus the Wyatt family, which is to be decided as to who will appear. Yeah. So if we keep it as a tag team match for the time being, I'd probably say in the to be decided character, it's probably going to be Bray Wyatt, probably, and Braun Strowman, because he's the one that they've really been trying to sort of go, hey, this is the guy that could probably beat them. So yeah. I'm going to go with those 2. So in terms of it being a tag team match, I'll probably say the Wyatt family wins. If it goes into an elimination match, and 4-on-4, 5-on-5 doesn't matter, but if it goes on to one of those, I'd be more inclined to say the Brothers of Destruction win.
I think that the Brothers of Destruction go over no matter what. Undertaker needs a win after the Brock Lesnar thing if you're going to set him up for stuff. If it's a tag team match or an elimination match, you can kind of protect Bray, because Bray also needs, you know, he needs to build something up depending on where they want to put him in the WrestleMania season, which he might be the biggest benefactor of this kind of sucking void for talent, because, you know, when you were looking at all those WrestleMania matches, you know, there was a conspicuous absence of Bray Wyatt in a lot of those cards, and now it's like, who's the over heel that can match up against pretty much any babyface, you know?
Can we also mention as well, this has got nothing to do with anything, but quite possibly the greatest injury in the history of man was Randy Orton's. Dislocated his shoulder by taking out the trash.
Well, also he just got married. Who knows how much of this is you know, like injury, and how much of this is him, you know, how much of this is him. I mean, who knows? I mean, Randy deserves the time off no matter what.
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, you know, saying he doesn't deserve the time off, but I mean, I know obviously he's got like hyper the hypermobility in his shoulder. That's what I'm thinking of. So I know obviously his shoulders. It's well known that his shoulders do dislocate very easily. But it's just the idea of just like his wife saying, "Hey, can you put the trash out for me, honey?" Bang! Ow! I just dislocated my shoulder. I'm out for 6 weeks.
He's someone they might rush back. I guess Cena probably is unlikely to come back early because he's shooting a TV show.
Oh, is that why? I know he was off for personal time. I didn't realize it was a TV show.
That's, I think,
He says personal time, but it means.
Well, I mean, and having worked a little bit in television, some of the times, like, you know what's happening. Everybody knows what's happening, and you just can't say it because the network wants to say it. They want to announce it. So it's like it's not up to them. It's not up to John Cena. It's not up to WWE. It's up to everything else. And so you saw that when Brian did hacking the system.
He was on holiday for 3 months.
He can't say that I'm out in LA shooting a TV show. He has to say I'm out in LA
on holiday for 3 months.
Yeah.
So Martin, what's your take on the on the two predictions? Let's say so. If it was a tag team match, and then obviously if it was a Survivor Series elimination match.
I really don't know who they can bring in for a Survivor Series match. Daniel Bryan coming back, which people have mentioned, and I just said as well. I really can't see it happening. But as just a 2-on-2 match, I really can't see any benefit for this for the Wyatts if they lose. Which I know, fair enough, you can say that they're fighting The Undertaker. This is a great thing for them. It's going to give them some momentum. But they basically kidnapped The Undertaker and beat up Kane and dragged him backstage, and already they're back and having a match at the pay-per-view, and it just seems like if they kick their asses at the pay-per-view and the Wyatts lose, this is another in a long line of Bray Wyatt talking shit and then getting his ass handed to him, which seems to be the exact same pattern that he's followed for every feud he has. Every single feud he has, he beats someone up for a little bit, talks about them, says that he's going to do something to him at the pay-per-view, and then the pay-per-view comes along, and he loses, he rolls over, and he moves on to someone else. And I can only imagine it's going to be so long before people get sick of it. So what I'd actually prefer is the fact that if he fights Undertaker and Kane, and towards the end of it, Kane sort of snaps, turns on Taker, because Kane has gone with the Wyatts, which can lead to Kane versus Undertaker, and he can both retire at WrestleMania. Because I think Undertaker's done for. I don't think he can go another WrestleMania, and no one's going to get a rub from Undertaker anymore losing at WrestleMania because he's already lost that streak. Kane can probably do with retiring as well. So have Kane versus The Undertaker. Undertaker can beat Kane, and then have a big explosion in the ring of fire, some lightning. Both men disappear, and Urn and Kane's mask left in the ring, and they can go away in a comedy, goofy way that their characters basically embody. I'd be completely fine with that, but I really can't see any way of this benefiting the Wyatts.
Well, I mean, the way that it would benefit the Wyatts is if Bray doesn't wrestle, right? So you can have Bray sending in either Rowan and Harper, or Strowman and one of the other ones, or Rowan and Harper, and Bray's on the outside and he's screwing with stuff, and he doesn't take the pin, or he wrestles and he doesn't take the pin. That's the way that you protect that you protect Bray, and then you can have Bray either cast out the one who loses, and then that sets up a feud between one of them. Maybe I don't know whether or not. I think it's way too early to turn Braun Strowman face, but you saw Eric Rowan get a pretty good face pop when he had his little turn. I think you do have a lot of options with the Wyatts losing. As for the Undertaker at WrestleMania, I mean, that's the $1 million question, right? Because this can't just be an Undertaker match. I think it is very incumbent upon them to put somebody of a big name, high caliber against Undertaker if this is going to be his last match, because he loses his last match, man. Like, he is too old school in this industry to not go out on his back if this is indeed his retirement.
And that, for me, that's kind of the reason why I think the Wyatt family should win, because this is the 25th anniversary, so the whole build-up has been, hey, it's 25 years, it's 25 years. Wouldn't it be interesting if Wyatt wins, nefarious means and all, because it probably would be, but go nefarious means, and he goes, Hey, everybody was so excited for the 25th anniversary. Everyone was so, let's celebrate him. And I beat him. You know?
I mean, if that's the case, then the match is Bray Undertaker at WrestleMania.
WrestleMania. Well, the return match. And then, yeah.
I mean, because then you're building a proper feud to this ultimate, like, no, this is, and also you are giving Bray the rub as you are the new Undertaker.
You beat me at WrestleMania. I beat you at your 25th anniversary. Give me the one more chance this time. I know I can do it.
Yeah. Well, or I mean, yes. I mean, if you're the Undertaker, he can do that entire program without speaking a word and just roll his eyes back into his head and do the throat slash, and that'll just be it. I mean, I think that one kind of writes itself if you build Bray up like that. But Martin, I think you're totally right. They need to have a direction with Bray now more than ever. Again, like all of the pieces that they have there, they could afford to let sort of dangle when Cena's there, when Orton's there, when Rollins is there, when you are using those as your authority figure. That's a 1 through 3 pay-per-view card with just those 3 guys. Plug in whoever you want against them, and that's a 1 through 3. They need to give Bray something because they've just let him sort of eat up time in the middle of the card for the last year, and I think that they have to elevate him. Bray as champion would be an interesting thing if they decide to give him a short run. If they want a big heel doing it, because as far as crowd interaction goes, and I know that it's frustrating to watch him story-wise flounder, I don't know if they have many more over heels than Bray.
No, that's kind of. I think that's so. Is the Seth Rollins injury the best thing to happen to Bray Wyatt? Because now Bray Wyatt is now going to be the focus. Because who's the biggest heel in WWE under Seth Rollins? In my eyes, it's probably Bray Wyatt.
It probably is. I mean, I wouldn't say this is the best thing to happen to Bray Wyatt.
Oh,
it's the
absolutely.
best potential thing to happen to Bray Wyatt, because if they try and push him in any way like he is a serious number 1 heel, and they continue to push him the way they have pushed him, people will definitely lose all faith in him being any form of heel who is going to be dominant. But if they actually pick the ball up and let him run with it and let him be this dominant person who makes these threats, who carries through with these threats, and actually gets these victories that is very much needed, and he starts going back after Roman Reigns, who he already has history with, off Reigns getting the title, starts a feud with him, goes after him, takes him out, does whatever, but he's not allowed a match with him, and then gets a Rumble and a match with, gets a Rumble victory and a match with Roman Reigns, people will start buying into Bray Wyatt. People will start buying into this big heel coming after the babyface champion. But if they just carry on with him as he is, I really can't see him benefiting from it at all.
So let's move on to the other. Well, obviously we'll move on to the tournament in a little while. Let's move on to the other match they've announced for Survivor Series so far, as we are 1 week away from the pay-per-view. Yes, only 3 matches have been announced. Charlotte versus Paige for the Divas Championship. Now, obviously, this has been a long. This is
finally.
This has actually been a long time feud in the making. Obviously, you've had Team PCB, Team Bella, Team Bad, which is kind of gone to the wayside now. It's now all about Paige, Becky, and Charlotte sort of going at it with each other. And we're now getting the match I think most people want to see, which is Charlotte versus Paige.
No, I actually want to see Sasha. I don't want to see Charlotte or Paige. I want to see Sasha. I still think Paige was called up when she's not ready. The girl's been wrestling since she was 15. I've seen her a million times. I thought she was great. When I first saw her on Raw, I thought she looked uncomfortable. Charlotte, I think, is fine, but I still think Charlotte looks a bit rough around the edges occasionally. She's definitely better than some of the girls they've got on the main roster, so she deserves to be there, but she's rough around the edges. Whereas I think Sasha Banks is absolutely perfect and ready to go. She's got the attitude, she's great in the ring, she's ready to go. So I'd have loved for Team Bad to have actually been able to have someone in this match. I think Sasha could have made it far more interesting.
Oh, I could not agree more, and it's not about Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is amazing, and I think that I totally agree with you that of those 3, I think she is the biggest potential star. I am just so done with multiple person matches in this division. I think one-on-one. I'm very excited. I think these two can have a stellar match because as much as they do look uncomfortable, wrestling is, you are only as good as your dance partner, right? And that's why, the old, wrestle a broom, analogy with the best workers in the business is there, because I think Charlotte and Paige have looked below their potential because they're wrestling people that are just not as good as them and are just not as fluid and just aren't as athletic. That's really where I don't think that it's necessarily even psychology with a lot of the Divas performances being underwhelming. I do think it is straight athleticism, and that's what you've seen in NXT, is there is just a higher baseline for athleticism amongst their women competitors. And hopefully what you see in this match between Paige and Charlotte, both very athletic people, is something a little bit more fluid and the ability to kind of tell a little bit of a longer story. And we get, for the first time since the Divas Revolution, quote unquote, in the main roster, we just get a good, maybe not show stealing, but certainly up to their weight, match that doesn't include one of the Bellas.
I think a lot of it is related to time. If they get given like a decent amount of time to tell a story, it's going to be interesting. If it is just the usual BS of you've got a 15-minute segment of which 5 minutes is the match, then it doesn't really show off what these two, I don't want to say divas, but because they're wrestlers, what these two wrestlers can do. I honestly think this is going to be all down to how much time they get. The more time they get, I think the better story they tell. The better story they tell, the more invested you get. The more invested you get, the more you want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I think really, but this is kind of where ring work, I think, is going to speak for itself, and what you're going to see is hopefully something that that really captivates the crowd and the audience, and can kind of, I mean, like, listen, last pay-per-view, the Kevin Owens Ryback match was the popcorn match. The Divas match wasn't. Nikki Bella versus Charlotte was not the popcorn match, which is something that hasn't happened in a fairly long time. Even in post Divas Revolution, they put the Divas match in between two other bigger matches to give people a break and have them back in their seats for the big one. So I really think that this is going to be good, and like, this is what we kind of want. And in terms of, from a Sasha Banks fan, like, Sasha doesn't need to be in this match, but we want her to be in the next. What we want is a good, fun match, right? And then you just move people in and out, and now it's Sasha challenging Charlotte, and we have seen that match a million times in NXT, and it has never failed to blow the roof off.
I'm assuming, and this is just, this isn't thin out the air, because I mean, people have been suggesting this. I assume this is leading up to a Team PCB triple threat match at WrestleMania. Like, that's the ultimate goal.
I think booking for WrestleMania from Survivor Series is a little out there, because I don't know. I would think
what they used to do.
No, they book WrestleMania from Royal Rumble. I mean, you get things started here. You put people in position, but I would be very disappointed if we have no more story development. Of a triple threat between those two factions. I would like to see those factions, blown up and reformed and feud, amongst each other, going forward. I think, I'll tell you what, I would love to see on this card, Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks had a great, I think it was on Superstars, a great match. That's a match we've seen a couple times, and in NXT. I would love to see that on this card. Just put another women's match that is going to be awesome and blow the roof off.
Yeah, I mean, that would be. I would definitely have to see that. Martin, your thoughts, or have you? What do you think?
I don't know, really. I don't know where they can go from here. With what you were saying about WrestleMania booking towards a PCB triple threat match, I mean, I don't know if that is a good place to go. Like I say, I'd rather that we did get Sasha brought into it. I think that the Divas Revolution so far has been completely uninspiring, mainly because, as was mentioned, we had far too many multiple person matches to begin with. And then we got this person who's like, I've wanted the Divas Revolution for so long, I've wanted it for so long. And almost as soon as it started, she turned on her friends. which wasn't needed at that time. It was completely pointless. You've just beat the Ballas. The Ballas are out of it now. You don't need to worry about the Ballas. At least have some time to develop the idea that these people are now going to push wrestling before you go for the idea of, oh, we're women, so we're all bitchy and hate each other, really. You know, I would have preferred to have had more wrestling involved and less of this sort of nonsense of infighting, and I don't really want the feud of PCB fighting amongst themselves to carry on. I'd like Charlotte to beat Paige, Paige be like, okay, you are the better person, I'm sorry, I've been a twat, at least the Ballas are gone, and then just carry on, have feuds, bring in Sasha, do whatever you need to do, but get some good matches going and carry on making this about women's wrestling and not about silly little feuds over jealousy over who's the champion.
Well, I mean, jealousy on who's the champion, I think that's as old as wrestling, right? You know, the problem is just having it constantly be that stereo. I mean, like, I think I forget who said it, but like there's only one women's character in WWE, and that's bitchy. Bitchy or crazy. No, two. There's bitchy and crazy. You know, and either you're bitchy or you're crazy or you're both. And that's hopefully what we see. I mean, Charlotte has been kind of pretty prototypical white meat babyface, right? Like, you know, certainly she has the benefit of the famous father, but you know, she's just been you know, working hard and you know, she's been fucked over by the more powerful, and now she's here to be a good reigning defending champion. And I think I totally agree with you. Let's just get good one-on-one matches, because I want to see one-on-one matches with almost everybody except for Tamina. You know, there's everybody that's kind of in that sort of feud. Charlotte and Becky I want to see. Charlotte and Paige I want to see. Charlotte and Sasha I've seen and I want to see again. Even Naomi.
And the crowd falls silent on that one.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, the mix-up of singles matches that are possible are great.
I mean, everyone. I mean, I agree with everyone. When you got to Naomi, I was like, I could take or leave it.
Naomi's got athleticism, at least.
Yeah.
Alicia Fox needs to be getting involved more as well. Alicia Fox was definitely better than Brie Bella.
So
get Alicia Fox involved, if nothing for anything else other than her beautiful suplexes that she does, going on tiptoes while you're bridging. It looks phenomenal. Get her in just to do that move, and then she can go out for all I care. But as long as she's there to do that.
But I mean, like, let's. I would love to see multiple feuds, but let's keep them one-on-one. Like, we just don't need 19 people in the ring at all times. It just turns into a clusterfuck.
Yeah, it's the same in WWE there. All the time, the multiple man match always revolves around 3 people in the ring. Right, let's throw one outside, you 2 fight. Okay, that one get back in, throw another one outside, those 2 fight. It's just the same thing, and then when you get towards the end of the match, everyone run in, all hit your finishers, get a roll up and win.
Yeah. Oh, no, you forgot everybody's on the outside, so somebody jumps on them.
Yeah.
And then you've got the obligatory announce table being smashed out of nowhere because someone comes out of camera shot.
Yeah.
That would actually be a really good drinking game, because I've been looking at drinking games. You could have like Formula 1 and that. I would love to see like a WWE drinking game, like of a WWE multi-man drinking game, and just have like take a shot every time a finisher is hit, every time someone gets thrown out the ring, every time an announce table gets broken.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up because I only got about 10 more minutes.
Yeah, let's get into the main event, because there's only 3 matches on the card, which is the final for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship tournament. Like I said, obviously the first round we're on SmackDown this past week. We've got the quarterfinals on Raw this week. The semi-finals take place on SmackDown this week, with the finals at the pay-per-view. Your quarterfinal matches are Roman Reigns versus Cesaro, Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto. The winners of those 2 matches meet in one semi-final. Kevin Owens faces Neville, and Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose. The winners of those matches face each other in the semi-final.
Those are all great matches. Those are all going to be rad matches, man. I'm super excited.
Can we just cut to the chase? Roman Reigns is winning this title.
I don't know.
I could well be Dean Ambrose and joining the Authority. Which loads of people have said there was foreshadowing from Triple H, because Triple H said in an interview with Michael Cole, there might be one person out there who's just crazy enough to take the risk needed to be the champion. So everyone was like, right, so it's going to be Crazy Dean taking the risk he needs and joining the Authority to be champion.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if this is a Dean Roman final. Wait, does that make sense? Can it be a Dean Roman final?
Yeah. Roman Reigns, Cesaro, Alberto Del Rio, Kalisto, they go in a semi-final. Then Kevin Owens, Neville, Dolph Ziggler, and Dean Ambrose go in a semi-final. So you can have Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose in the final itself.
Yeah. Since this tournament was announced, I thought all of the results are blatantly obvious, with the exception of, in the final, did he go with Reigns or Ambrose? Because having a face versus face, it seems like they need a big story there to actually end the match, if you get me. So
okay, so let's get to why not? What about me? What about Owens? Why not Kevin Owens elevating to big time heel champion levels, and you just kind of plug him in as Roman Reigns, or sorry, as Seth Rollins, a Jace, and you roll with whatever your plans were already.
See, I was expecting Owens not to get there purely because he's still the Intercontinental Champion, so I didn't think that he'd put him in the final.
I don't think they will. I think the way I'm looking at it in quarterfinals, Roman Reigns is probably going to face Alberto Del Rio in one semi-final. You're going to have Kevin Owens versus probably Dean Ambrose in a semi-final. Dean Ambrose goes into the final. Roman Reigns goes into the final. They do the face versus face. I don't see Dean Ambrose going heel, but I do find it quite funny where they go, "Oh, we've lost a Shield member. Let's get another one."
Well, I mean, and then you have this nobody gives a shit Money in the Bank contract out there in the hands of Sheamus.
I like Sheamus.
I would not be surprised if we end Survivor Series with a Lord Dingleberry holding the championship aloft over his mohawked head.
It seems like one of the easiest places for him to cash in. Purely because they need a big shock on this pay-per-view to make anyone care at the end of it, especially with the final seeming to be quite predictable, with the Roman Reigns definitely being there. So if Reigns won and Sheamus cashed in, then I could definitely see them doing that. But then that means we're going to get a Reigns and Sheamus feud, which I can't really see being liked by fans.
The internet might implode, and I'd absolutely love it because I'd love to see my Twitter implode of people going, "Oh, this thing sucks." And I'd be like, "Yeah," and I'm
okay. But who in the entire roster would even the smarkiest crowd cheer if Roman beat them for the title?
Probably Sheamus.
Anyone but you, Sheamus, to quote and paraphrase Bray Wyatt. I think that there's kind of a thought there that a despicable Sheamus being beaten by Roman Reigns is good for Roman Reigns in a way that him beating other people are not. Here's another idea for a finish: Dean Roman final, right? Sheamus comes in, finally cashes in, or does another one of his can't get it out of his pants non-cash-ins, and but hits Roman Reigns with the briefcase, and maybe Dean takes the shitty way out, pins his friend based on an interference. Now you've got a soft turn for Dean, that isn't him just like taking a big pile of cash from Triple H and then brass knuckling Roman, but is kind of true to his character, keeps him in tweener territory, right? But definitely gives him a bit of a coward's move to the champion.
The thing that gets me is I've heard or read multiple reports. Obviously, you've got the obvious one that everyone has said, "Oh, they're going to turn Roman Reigns heel at some point in the year, and he's going to join the Authority." No. Or you've got the other one, which is supposedly Reigns was going to win the title at some point before the end of this year anyway, regardless of whether Rollins was champion or not.
Well, the rumor was that he was definitely going to win at Survivor Series against Rollins.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes me think that they wanted to have him champion to keep him out of the Royal Rumble, because they knew that the Rumble was such a disaster. For Roman Reigns last year. So they don't want to put him back into the WrestleMania main event by way of the Rumble. So you got to make him the champion. And if you're going to make him the champion, let him pop that balloon with Seth Rollins.
But not necessarily. They could have easily have done something where they go, right, he's not in the Royal Rumble, but he has a title match at Royal. He has the title match at Royal Rumble. So he's at the Royal Rumble. He loses it. They do some kind of schmoz weird thing at Fastlane where he somehow wins the tournament, and then they can go, right, triple threat match at WrestleMania. Boom.
Well, but I think they want to establish him. They want to have him be the champion, like the poster boy champion by WrestleMania. You know, if they want to do that, they got to give him a bit of a run.
Okay, beg the question. Well, okay, this is kind of on the spot, but Roman Reigns at WrestleMania as champion. Who's his opponent? Because it ain't going to be Seth.
You know, I mean, if you're gonna really set it up and you want to make it as big as possible, I don't know how the crowd's gonna react.
I think I know what you're going to say.
His name is John Cena.
I've read that, and to be honest, because I remember people when they first done Batista Cena at SummerSlam, people were like, "Well, this match is going to suck," and it ended up being all right. And then they had the feud they had at 2010 at WrestleMania, and their WrestleMania match actually ended up being pretty enjoyable to watch. So maybe it is one of those things that if it sounds like it sucks, it might not actually suck.
Well, I've always said that we never get close to sniffing heel Cena until there is an over babyface champion, a franchise guy. Roman Reigns is the closest thing to that company's had in a very, very, very long time since Cena's been around. Is the idea heel Cena versus babyface Reigns as champion?
The only problem is if you've got heel Cena versus babyface Roman Reigns, if he beats babyface Roman Reigns, you've got babyface John Cena because people aren't exactly buying into Roman Reigns.
Oh, you don't think that they would cheer Roman over heel Cena? That heel Cena, I mean, like, yeah, I think
if Cena returned heel, I don't think they'd cheer Roman Reigns over Cena. I think people would actually be finally happy.
No. I think that there's that you look at those crowd reactions recently. Like Roman Reigns is not in the position that he was in a year ago. I think that he legitimately gets babyface cheers now.
Definitely gets some. He gets them on house shows anyway.
Well, no, even on TV, you know, he's not. It's not the mix that it was. It's certainly not Cena. You know, it's not
Cena level.
No. It's not all the you know, everybody over 12 booing and everybody under 12 and their high pitched voices cheering "Let's go Cena."
It's.
But I guess my point is with smart booking, there's no reason why Roman Reigns isn't a cheered babyface champion. You know, now whether or not WWE is capable of such booking, you know, always remains to be seen. But I do think that that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, so I think we're all going for this. It's probably most likely going to be a Roman Reigns title win here. So is there any other matches that we can think of? I mean, there's probably going to be, like I said, there's probably going to be a random tag title match on there. There's probably going to be an Intercontinental title match on there. So
there won't be an Intercontinental match because Owens is champ, so he can't have a match.
Unless they clear. Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
that's
he's not
why
in the
they have to wrap up all these things before because Owens is going to have an Intercontinental title match against whoever he loses against in the.
So put it this way: in the quarterfinals, someone's going to run out and cost Kevin Owens his match, which sets up an Intercontinental title match. Someone's going to run out and interfere in Alberto Del Rio's match, which sets up a US title match.
Also, we're probably going to get Ziggler and my man, Tyler Breeze.
Yeah, that's almost guaranteed. That's probably going to be what leads to Ziggler losing to Dean Ambrose, albeit Tyler Breeze interference of some sort.
Yeah.
So basically, every quarterfinal match is going to be an interference match.
No. The heels aren't going to get interfered with. They'll just lose.
Owens will beat Neville clean, I reckon. Burt will beat Kalisto clean. Roman Reigns will probably beat Cesaro clean. But then Kevin Owens losing to Dean Ambrose, I don't know what's going to happen there, but it's going to be something that's going to have to set up the match for Owens at the pay-per-view. Who knows? It might be some screw job versus Owens and Neville in the quarterfinals that sets up Owens and Neville for the pay-per-view after Owens is eliminated on SmackDown.
I'd love to see an Owens-Neville run.
Their match in NXT was phenomenal. They had some great matches there. So
yeah, I know, and they've wrestled in like PWG. You can look up some of those stuff. So
yeah.
They've
got a lot of history.
They're great.
So, any other matches we can think of that's probably going to happen at Survivor Series, or is this probably going to go? Are they going to do some kind of thing where like one of the matches ends up being like half an hour or 45 minutes?
I could see them giving Reigns Ambrose like a big wide berth, and let them, just say this is them getting the brass ring, right? The both of them, like, now you're stars. Make, like, this is you guys want to be, The Rock and Austin, as both of them have been compared to, in the past. Then go do it.
Yeah, the Undertaker, Kane, and Wyatt family thing will probably go a while as well. Not necessarily just for the match, but you've got really long intros from everyone involved, and then you're going to have talking and nonsense and stalling all the way through. So just the entire spectacle as one thing will probably be really drawn out, even if the match itself's about 10 minutes.
You know what I want to do? Maybe I'll just do this as a YouTube video. I just want to play all three entrances.
So, see how long
simultaneously, right? Just all the sounds, all the music. Corner. Yeah, just have them all go, because I totally agree. Unless the Brothers of Destruction do their intro together.
Yeah, they could do. You haven't done that for a while.
Do you know what I'd love to see is I'd love to see a video, like a side-by-side video, like Justin on one side and the entrances on the other side, and it's him, just no reaction. It's you just folded arms, just sitting there watching with the camera in the corner, a timer in the corner. It just pings at the end, and you just go, well, that was X number of time wasted.
Yeah, actually, no. You want to know what? And by the way, there's no time wasted with those intros, because I love those intros, yeah. And they could all last 45 minutes, and I would be so happy. In fact, the pay-per-view could just be those intros, and I would be very
1 hour long.
But you want to know what? Now that I think about it, there's no way they don't do the Brothers of Destruction thing, because this is probably going to be their last run, and for them to be able to do all the combined pyro and it comes out and everything, I think that just makes the most sense.
I'm also just going to put this forward to you. TLC takes place in Boston, Massachusetts next month.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, who possibly is associated with Boston, Massachusetts? How far is that from Newbury?
It's enough to drive, I'm sure.
I don't know. I mean, they have a hard time with geography out in the UK, right? Everything's within an hour and a half.
Can I just say? I mean, no offense to the Americans and you guys over there, but seriously, Manchester is not London.
I mean, sure, but also Newcastle isn't a small mining town, right?
Yeah, it just makes me laugh. Every single time they do an event in Manchester, they show Big Ben and a London black taxi, and it's like, and a London phone box. It's like, no, we still don't we don't have phone boxes like that anymore. No.
What you have to understand is that the United States is both very, very large, and we really don't have a lot of memory to think about other things but ourselves.
But to be honest, if you understood what's going on in the UK right now, rather than it being a London black taxi and a phone box, it would probably be a VAT logo, tampons, and a picture of a pig.
Well, there is that. Well, I'll tell you what, on that note, I got to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely, Justin. Where can people follow you if they want to get your thoughts on wrestling and everything else?
At Justin R. Young. I quit my job, so I'm going to be doing a lot of streaming live at diamondclub.tv. Also follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jurystone. I stream, I'll be streaming video games and Hearthstone and all sorts of fun stuff. Also, everything else just at Justin R. Young. I got a million things, and I could bore you guys with them, but I won't.
Oh, thank you very much, Justin. Thank you very much, Justin. I'll leave you with your final words, obviously, before you leave. So, final words goes to you.
I believe that it'll be a shameful thing, Lobsterhead, when you're the champion on Survivor Series.
Too many limes. Too many limes.
See you guys.
See you later, man.
So. There is actually one thing I think that Martin and me do want to quickly talk about, because obviously the annual WWE game got released the end of last month, wasn't it? It actually got released, I think, on Halloween, didn't it? In the UK. So Martin and me have both played it. there's not really too much deep to go into it. Obviously, I mean, the majority of it is obviously it's a bigger game than last year. There's more matches involved, more modes involved. Well, not more modes, but more speciality matches as well. So it's more varied in terms of the singles exhibition mode. Showcase mode is Stone Cold Steve Austin's career, where you get to play 17 matches of his career that WWE considers to be the most important. Plus, I think was it 3 bonus matches. You've got the My Career mode, which has been in their eyes revamped, but we'll speak about that in a moment. Universe mode, which hasn't really been touched, and they've added in more abilities on the Create a Wrestler. You've got Create Arena mode, Create a Championship mode back, and then there's also face mapping and all the logos that they came in last year. We'll go through it bit by bit. Exhibition mode, nothing's changed in my eyes. I don't know if anything is interested or impressed you on exhibition mode, Martin.
Nothing about exhibition mode really interests me.
Let's go to My Career mode next. They said it's revamped, and it has been revamped to add in 2 animations of the same thing happening every month. And I've said this to Martin off air. I'm playing as my guy as a heel right now. I'm a full-on heel. I've joined the Authority at Survivor Series. In my first year, I actually joined the Authority. Apparently they wanted me that badly. And then nothing really seems to happen. I just get Seth Rollins randomly interfere in one of my matches at a random time, at a random month. He randomly helps me in one match and then fucks off for the rest of the month. And yet I'm a tag team with him. And do you know what really annoys me, right? Is it does the thing where they go, oh, Seth Rollins and you are now getting along as a tag team. It's like, yeah, because Seth Rollins doesn't wrestle on SmackDown. He only wrestles on Raw. How can I join him when I can't get onto Raw? And then you have to do the obvious. No, we're not having problems. We are fine. That's one thing I want to bring up, actually. The Renee Young interview segments are a waste of time because nothing happens.
And Renee Young looks awful in them. She looks scary. For as good as the character models can be, her character model is absolutely atrocious.
Oh, no. Have you seen the side-by-side shots of, like, Triple H and... who is it? It's like Adam Rose and people like that, where they go like, Triple H looks unbelievably realistic. Adam Rose looks like putty.
I have not seen those pictures.
It's like people have just been put pictures going, Triple H, amazingly realistic. And then like a random wrestler from the game, you go, I think I know where they spent the money. Seriously, look, play the game. Go to like Sting, Taker, Cena, Triple H, all the big names look amazing. All the guys that are like lower card, it's literally like they've just gone, last year's motion cap will do. We'll just HD him up a little bit, give him a few more freckles. There you go.
I've not noticed that, I've got to be honest. Then again, I never got to fight that many people before I got bored of the game. Because I like the game. Its actual wrestling is perfectly fine, although I like the way that they've done reversals this year, that you have to be strategic with it. That adds so much to the game, and it means that you're not just going to have a match where someone can come in, beat you down for a bit and get a finisher, because you can save that reversal for just when you need it, reverse their finisher, hit your finisher and win. It can be great. My one problem with the matches being like that, though, is that you almost guaranteed have to hit a finisher to win. You can't get into a match, start beating someone down, and then get a quick win out of nowhere. It has to be their energy's red and you've hit a finisher. My create a character, when I was going through My Career mode, had this incredibly annoying, frustrating thing that he would do. I would hit my finisher, press circle to pin on the PS4, press circle to pin, and instead of pinning, he would pick him up for a lift-up powerbomb. Yep. I don't know why, he'd just do it. And every time he did the powerbomb, because that wasn't his finisher, your opponent would kick out, because it wouldn't give you the same effect.
Or the other one I've also had is, you can never beat anybody with one finisher. You have to beat them with two.
Yeah,
they always kick out of that first finisher. Always.
Yeah, there was quite an issue with that. It really did piss me off. I mean, that thing that I was mentioning, I could beat someone until they were completely red in energy, completely dead, hit my finisher, pin them, great. Do the same thing next match, hit my finisher, accidentally do that power bomb, which shouldn't even work unless you press grapple. I don't know why it works with pins sometimes, probably a glitch. You'd pick them up, do the power bomb, and they'd kick out, which then would mean you'd have to spend another 2 to 3 minutes building up your finisher again so you could hit that move to win. It's just so frustrating, and it seems so lazy as a way of drawing the matches out to try and get those 5-star ratings that you have to get in order to progress your career. I found it very, very annoying, especially when I was constantly fighting the same people. When you start off in NXT, you'll have a feud with Tyler Breeze, and that's fine. That's your introduction to the game. And you think, oh, that was quite good. That was quite interesting. I liked how the feud works. It's then incredibly annoying that the next month, someone will attack you the exact same way Tyler Breeze will attacked you. You'll get the exact same interview with Renee Young asking you about this other wrestler instead of Tyler Breeze. You will have the same responses. You will have the same interactions. You will have the same match at a pay-per-view to blow it off before the feud recycles. There's no real story or development. Every feud is, you're about to do your entrance, you get attacked from behind. And if you skip the intros, which after you've seen your intro once, you don't need to watch it again, so you turn entrances off, you know when this is going to happen because you can't skip your entrance all of a sudden.
It says go to match.
Yeah, it just says go to match, and you have to load it up, watch your entrance for however long it takes for them to attack. And it's just lazy. I like that they've tried to change it up, but it's lazy. You can tell your character to attack other people as well to try and start a feud yourself. The only place you can attack him is during the entrance. You can't attack him after the match. What's really annoying as well is if I'm in a feud with anyone, I have to watch their match. If they're having a match on the card, you have to watch it. Now, when the match loads up, you can press pause, and then it says, if you want to, you can skip this match. Great. Let me skip it before it's loaded up. Because you can't do anything, can you? When the match is there, you can't interfere. Yet at the end of the match, it loads up a picture of you on the apron.
Sometimes it will interfere, but it interferes you as an AI character. So you watch your guy randomly come in, attack somebody, and he just walks off.
Yeah, if you watch the match all the way through. But if you skip the match, every time it loads up with you on the entrance ramp, pointing your finger and walking towards the ring, and then it cuts out and nothing happens every single time. It's just pointless. And once you're in a feud, you can't choose to interfere, which is weird. Because if you're in a feud with someone, you'd think that'd be the time that you can choose to interfere in their matches, but you can't. It's just all completely random as to whether or not the AI decides that you're allowed to do it. They've kind of messed that up a little bit. They'd have been better off playing Raw 2 on the Xbox and taking hints from there how they set it up, where you could attack anyone anywhere. Dropping cardboard boxes on Bill Goldberg's head backstage in Raw 2 is still my favourite thing that I've ever done in a wrestling video game.
There was one, I think it was in Here Comes the Pain. I remember, you know those big travel cases?
Yeah.
I think it was Here Comes the Pain. There was one which was a travel case, and there's this weird storyline where you're just walking along, and all of a sudden this travel case, like this giant travel case, comes out of nowhere and nearly crushes you. and you just get out of the way, and it comes underneath, like, oh, it looks like the guy tried to kill him. It's like, yeah.
See, stuff like that would be so much better, but it isn't. It's the same feud every time. And even when you're feuding for the title, and you don't get put in a feud for the title either. You become number one contender, and then you can be number one contender for 10 years, unless you voluntarily manage to get out of a feud by winning your feud and then attacking the champion. Because any match you have with the champion will be non-title unless you're in a feud with them, and you have to sort that feud out yourself for some reason.
There is a way you can actually cheat the system. There is a way you can actually get out of feuds.
How's that?
When you do the Renee Young interview, press the button that says, I'm not interested in this feud, and it just goes, oh. It's like, it goes, oh. And here's the thing I don't understand. I think this is a typo. Whenever you finish your feud, it says your feud of this person, or was it your relationship with this person has reached its worst point. This feud has now ended.
Ah, so you never said that on the PS4. No, that's an Xbox glitch.
It says this feud has reached its worst thingy. It's now ended. It's like, no, if it's worse, surely it should mean the feud is now coming to an end.
Yeah,
like it's getting to its highest point.
On PS4, it said it's worst if it was starting. It says your attitude towards this person has improved now that the feud's over, and then it says that you're now friends with them, kind of.
Yeah. Here's the other thing as well. It says, oh, you can pick your allies. No, you can't.
No, you can't.
It just randomly goes, oh, he's your ally for this month. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can choose to help certain people, But instead of actually getting points towards helping someone, you end up with a feud with the person who you've attacked instead. It's random as to who is going to end up being your ally. And then it just picks whoever they want as your ally instead of your number one friend at the time when you go into tag tournaments.
Do you know the best one I also had? I actually had a feud with Triple H whilst I was in part of the Authority. I was part of the Authority. I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to attack Triple H to see what happened. I ended up in a 4-week feud with Triple H. Nothing happened. The Authority actually helped me more than it helped Triple H. Seth Rollins, I'm not joking. In one match, Seth Rollins came out and actually was cheering me on in my match. I was actually trying to get Triple H disqualified. I was like, that's so wrong.
Yeah, Seth Rollins, actually, that's a good point. That's the only thing that I saw that was any form of development whatsoever. When I was having matches on SmackDown, Seth Rollins kept coming out being chased by Ryback.
Yes,
but then
I saw that.
He was making me lose matches. I was losing matches, and I couldn't do anything to attack him. Eventually, at the end of the feud, you end up in a tag match with him. He beats Ryback, and you're allowed to choose whether to help Seth Rollins beat Ryback down or let Ryback beat Seth Rollins down. But no matter which one you choose, it doesn't really make a great deal of difference. The Authority don't turn on you or anything. If you're in with the Authority at the time, they continue to help you. It's just seems a bit pointless. But that was the only thing that I saw that was different to just regular matches and that same attack system that they have to start feuds.
I had also another weird glitch from my one, actually, which was I was in a feud with Sting. Because I just randomly started a feud with Sting. And then the 3rd week into it, it said, your feud with Sting is now ended. You are now in a feud with Curtis Axel. I'm like, sorry, what? So yeah, my career mode is just weird. I think it's one of those feuds. I think it's a better improvement, but do you remember, was it last year when you got into a feud with Undertaker and there was special animations just for the Undertaker where he would randomly appear out of nowhere and like chokeslam you from behind?
Yeah,
I've been in a feud with Undertaker where nothing happens. You just beat up Undertaker, and it's like, oh, you've beaten him up. And it's like, no, it should be a big thing that you've beaten up the Undertaker, not just it happened.
Yeah.
There is one thing I will say that is a vast improvement to this game, and I think it is one of the best things they've done to this game. The no loading animation times. I really do like do you know what? And it's the little things as well, which is the camera will face your opponent in the ring and your entrance will start. And as it starts, then it goes to the entrance ramp. It doesn't like go to the entrance ramp when it pops up. I think that's really cool. It makes it more immersive. And also, I do like the fact also as well that in exhibition mode, you can just run in on any part of someone's entrance and you run in and it's still whatever they're wearing is what you start attacking them as, and then it does a whole point where it gets to a point where it'll cut to the crowd and it comes back and the guy will be completely in his wrestling gear, which makes it quite hilarious when you get guys who've got like full bodysuits on come back and they're in their pants and you're thinking, that's odd.
Yeah.
Have you messed around with all the creator stuff, like the creator arenas and creator, or as I like to call it, the most pointless mode in the history of WWE games, creator title?
Yeah, I've messed around with all. I'm definitely improved over last year, especially the ones that they've re-added, but still not perfect. But creator wrestlers a hell of a lot better than it was. I'll be right back. I just need to go toilet.
Okay. I can talk a little bit about showcase mode whilst Martin's doing that. Showcase mode this year is focusing on Stone Cold Steve Austin's career. Obviously, starting with the very famous, infamous Austin 316 promo, leading up all the way up to his final match at WrestleMania 19. There is not a lot really to talk about in terms of the showcase mode. Every showcase match literally is hit a stunner, hit a Luthez press, do a quick time event, beat this person, and the match is over. There is nothing really there that is of innovation. There's nothing there that really, if you're not a Stone Cold Steve Austin fan or you don't know about his career that you won't already know about, the only difference really is that you can actually play some of his sort of matches that most people might have not have seen, like obviously his ECW match with Mikey Whipwreck. You've got the Clash of the Champions match with Brian Pillman, and then obviously you've got the WrestleMania 12 match with Savio Vega. But besides that, there's nothing of importance there. You really could give this showcase a miss. And I have heard, that apparently there's going to be another showcase mode added in DLC I can't remember what it's called, but apparently it's supposed to be like legend matches or something. Like it's just going to be random legend matches.
Nah, not too keen on that.
I'll have a look. Hold on. We're in 2K16 DLC. So yeah, I was just speaking about how showcase mode really is a bit of a miss this year.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just having a look at come on, load up. Here we go. The downloadable content offerings. You can have the accelerator, which means you can have access to all the unlockable content straight away. The My Player Kickstart, which means you can actually give your created superstar a rating of 90 before you start career mode. The Legends Pack. Oh, here we go. The Hall of Fame Showcase is this is just the DLC Showcase mode. The Hall of Fame Showcase. Playable matches include Macho Man Randy Savage versus Jake the Snake Roberts, Rikishi versus The Rock, Alundra Blaze versus Paige, Larry Zbyszko and Arn Anderson versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Dustin Rhodes, Tatsumi Fujinami versus Ric Flair, the Bushwhackers versus the Natural Disasters, the Outsiders versus Harlem Heat. $9.99, that is. You can have the New Moves Pack, which is $4. The Future Stars Pack, 3 playable NXT stars, Samoa Joe, Diego, Fernando, Blake, and Murphy for $8.
Jesus. Seems too expensive. It's not worth it.
The Legends Pack will be Big Boss Man, Dusty Rhodes, Lita, Mr. Perfect, Roddy Piper, and Trish Stratus for $9.
Right.
That's it. All they're doing for downloadable content this year is an accelerator, the My Play Kickstart, the Legends Pack, Hall of Fame Showcase, the New Moves Pack, and the Future Stars Pack. Basically, sweet fuck all.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you towards the showcase. It is missable this year. I mean, last year's showcase I really enjoyed. I like being able to play as Punk, then play as Alberto Del Rio, then play as John Cena, and it felt like it was constantly changing. Whereas this year is mainly be Austin, do a stunner, do a Lufez press, make sure that you kick out the rock bottom and stuff. It all seems to follow the same pattern all the way through, and it's basically just being Austin in every match, which be one of the ones that's the main one shouldn't be so heavily focused on just one wrestler. The main showcase mode should be focused on a big feud or a big year. I'd have loved to have done that was Undertaker and have all of Undertaker's 21 WrestleMania matches. Have them all leading up to when he lost to Brock Lesnar. That'd be a good showcase mode and give you the option of being The Undertaker or his opponent and trying to break the streak at whatever point where you could be his opponent.
El Gigante.
Plus, we get El Gigante in the game, so that's great.
Yeah, exactly. El Gigante. I want El Gigante. The idea of them, but it's the idea of I want them to do El Gigante, but in his bodysuit.
Yeah, full bodysuit with a bit of fur on it.
El Gigante. I think that is the thing now. I mean, because it looks like showcase mode really is going to be replacing the. Do you know the one thing that I wish they bring back, and they only brought it for 1 year. I think it was WWE 12's career mode, which spanned over 18 months, but it was story to story. It's like the first 6 was Sheamus, the next 6 was Triple H, and the last 6 was your created guy. I really enjoyed that because it was one continuous story. I think they should bring that back.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Because I love the fact it was Sheamus on a dominant run with his faction leading up to his match with Triple H, which Triple H won. Triple H then became champion, I think it was, and then lost it at a retirement match at SummerSlam. And then following that, you had the invasion of the NWO and WCW leading up to War Games in the final match then. I really enjoyed that because actually the whole storyline made sense. So I'd love to see or do you know what I'd love to see? What we used to see in career mode, original storylines. As many people criticize this, but do you know what? I think SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 had one of the best career modes on there.
I can't even remember career mode of that.
You played it week to week. on Raw or SmackDown. You played it week to week, and feuds would last sometimes more than 1 month. It would last 2 to 3 months, and you would build and build and build, and the final match would be a stipulation based match, which actually would have been which was normally quite entertaining.
Yeah, that's definitely preferable to a 3-week feud that you currently get every single time.
Yeah, and then a singles match on a pay-per-view where, oh, you hit your finisher and you win, and the feud is over. Oh, it must be brilliant. No, not really. So I think we're in agreement of improvement, but if it was like a school report, which is good attendance but could do better.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because, I mean, I think the reason that this one's probably going to be so harshly criticised is because there's not another wrestling game on the market.
Yeah, they are in a bit of a crappy situation, really, because they've got no competition, which means they can pretty much do what they want and people have to buy it.
Yeah,
but because they've got no competition, they've got no reason to try and improve either.
Because in the last couple of years, you've had, what, a AAA game which a lot of people were like, it's all right, but, you know, it's nothing new. Obviously, you had the TNA game, which was goddamn awful. And then I'm trying to think. There was, I mean, you've got obviously all the offshoots, you know, of WWE. What was it called? What was the one that everybody loved? You got All Stars, and then you had Legends of Wrestling. Sorry, Legends of WrestleMania, which is obviously the offshoots. But there's not. I can't think of another major retail release that was a wrestling-based game. And I mean, obviously, you know, you've got like wrestling in like UFC and that, but I can't think of a wrestling-based game.
No.
Which is a shame. Maybe that's what it needs. I mean, do you remember how the 2K NFL games used to be amazing, and that's what made Madden improve? Now Madden is now pretty damn great. Maybe that's what it needs. Maybe it needs an opponent that is serviceable enough to go, right, we'll give you a run for your money, improve your shit.
They definitely do. You can't thrive in any business if you're the only company. It's pretty much the same as WWE. They lack creative depth at the moment because no one's really pushing against them. TNA are a complete non-factor, so WWE can pretty much do what they want. You know, they're going to be the number one company in the world still, so they don't need to strive, even though NXT does prove that they can do if they want to. And it's exactly the same for this. I mean, the amount of improvement they made from last year to this year shows that they know what they need to do, they know where they need to improve, but they haven't got anything about them that says, okay, how can we take this part that's now back to where it was on the previous generation? How can we now take this to the next level and make it so much better? Speaking of previous generation, by the way, WWE 2K16, graphics on last-gen consoles better than next-gen consoles, which is bizarre.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't played it on last-gen, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the textures aren't quite as high a quality, but there's a hell of a lot more detail in them. If you look at The Undertaker's entrance on the PS3, he looks spot on. He looks amazing. Then you look at it on the PS4, and he looks like it's still detailed, but his face looks like he's made of clay. And it's the same on the Xbox as well. The previous generation's versions do look remarkably better. There's not as much detail there, not as much clarity in the texture quality, but the actual detail is far superior because they used last year's models, which were apparently higher res on the last generation. And then for this year's models, they've sort of rescanned them, but rescanned them at a low res, which I don't understand why they've done that.
All I know is, I want to bring this up now, is the shot they use for Taker and all the promotional photos. This one is still probably one of the funniest photos I've seen of the Undertaker, because it literally just looks like he just doesn't care. Do you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the famous picture of CM Punk doing the GTS to Johnny Ace? And Johnny Ace has just literally just got like the stoned face. It's like no emotion. That's what that looks like. It's like Undertaker with no emotion. It's like, yep, that's me. Do you know what I want? I think this is a good thing to close out on. Do you know what? Maybe I'm just being too harsh on the game, or maybe I just want Crush Hour 2.
Oh, I like Crush Hour.
As much as people say, I really loved WWE Crush Hour. I thought it was goofy as hell, but that was the point. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. Like Undertaker and his Tombstone girl. I want Crush Hour 2. That's the thing, though. If you do Crush Hour 2 with the current day superstars, what would their cars be? 'Cause, I mean, obviously, Tay could have the Tombstone, but like, what would their cars be?
That's a good point. I have no idea.
I'm now just sitting here trying to think, what could like Ryback's or Seth Rollins' car be?
Ryback's would have to be like a food garbage truck or some shit.
Well, as it opens up, feed me more.
Yeah.
There's one for you. So yeah, there's one for you. What would the cars be in WWE Crush Hour? That'd be interesting. So that was Survivor Series. That was WWE 2K16. Martin, because we haven't spoken in a while. Is there anything else you want to bring up that you want to talk about?
No, not I can think of.
Oh, besides Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, sorry, besides Undertaker tombstoning Brad Maddox on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes.
That was highly entertaining.
It's interesting seeing Undertaker appearing on those sort of things now. When for so many years he wasn't allowed to because of breaking character and whatnot.
Oh, apparently he was on there because it was to promote Survivor Series, and you're like, really? How is that promoting Survivor Series? Just a random 50-year-old dude coming out tombstoning a turkey? Because that promotes Survivor Series? Oh, well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this. I don't know when we will be back next. It's probably going to be all depending on my work schedule, which could be changing very, very shortly. I won't get into it, but yes, could be a very interesting time for me. Martin, thank you for coming on stage to talk about Survivor Series. It's going to be interesting to see that all our predictions will end up being wrong.
Most predictions will be wrong, I reckon.
So what's the one prediction you definitely for sure on? I assume probably it's Roman Reigns, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. All my predictions, I think, will end up being wrong, and I'm going to be really surprised by this pay-per-view, purely because this pay-per-view looks shit on paper because they've only got 3 matches. And anytime a pay-per-view looks crap on paper and I feel like, oh, this looks naff, it always surprises me. So I'm looking forward to Survivor Series because I'm expecting to be surprised and to be wrong about everything.
All I will say is expect Hell in a Cell. I was going to say, what about Hell in a Cell? Because it was kind of a crappy... The card looked a bit crappy, and the pay-per-view was a bit, It was all right.
Yeah.
It wasn't brilliant. It was, But again, that's been the since kind of like SummerSlam. That's really been WWE, isn't it? It's been all right. Been a bit,
yeah. Everything's been like that for a while now.
I think everything I've watched for the last couple of months has just been a bit. I don't know if everyone's just had like an off couple of months. It's like, we've done it because we had to, but perfect pasties. Sorry, that's an inside joke that only one person in this world will understand. Perfect pasties. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this. Martin, thank you for joining us. And we shall see you very soon. So, cheers, guys. See you next time.